Hey guys, me again, back with another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Hanshow's latest electric rear view mirror for the Cybertruck. As you see here, it's got an auto light sensor, full screen touch, crash detect and record, highlight compensation, and sees through rain and fog. Here we've got some warranty info. Be sure to check out their website and Amazon store. And while we're on the topic, be sure to use my affiliate code RedKnave20 if you want to save 20% off this and anything on their website. So this baby is going to replace the existing practically useless rear view mirror. As we all know, as soon as you close your tonneau cover, you can't see a damn thing out the rear window. So this is a great option. Got an SD card slot there to save directly on the device. And this, I believe, has an 8.2-inch display. There's a 1080p wide-angle camera. Everything you need in this kit is provided to do the install. Here we got a tie-in cable. This will leech off the power already present behind the control module right above your existing mirror. We've got a pry tool, camera, let's see, a screw, an Allen wrench, and a mounting bracket. One more camera, I'm not sure which one's rear, which one's front, and the very long cable that will be needed to connect the rear camera back inside the Cybertruck. So this is actually going to be a ideally seamless install. Obviously you don't want to drive around with wires hanging out, so this is actually going to be hidden underneath the trim of the Cybertruck. It's going to come out, go around some trim, around the fender, under the bumper area, and my plan is I'm going to mount it right about there underneath my tow hitch. So let's get started in this install, see how easy this is to do, and then I'll start reviewing its features and its capabilities. So see you inside. Hey guys, me from the future here, and as I'm editing this nearly hour-long video, I realize most of you probably just want to see the final product. So I'm going to show that in just a moment, give you some final thoughts, and a full summary of my installation. Then I'm going to show some footage of it at different times of the day. And then for everybody else who's interested in actually buying this and using my video to install theirs, you can stick around for all those tips and tricks. Thanks for watching. All right, this is the final look, and I'm going to summarize this entire install in this one portion of the video. I modified a few steps. For the front camera, I just put the cable right back in through the plastic. There's no snaps up in the front, they're only on the sides. So it fit fine. I did not need to route it along this edge. As I showed earlier in the video, I taped with electrical tape and zip tied the majority of the cables back here out of the way of this whatever heat sink thing's going on in there. So the only cable that's running through this center is the rear camera cable. I taped that one aside so that this could snap back into place easier. The hardest thing, this was a bitch, not gonna lie, you need a partner. You could probably do it alone, but it's gonna take you 10 times longer. It's just very, very tricky because you kind of have to raise this up, snap it in place, while also holding the mirror in place, because once you snap this plastic piece back on, the wires are pinched and they are not gonna budge, so you can't shove them in anymore. So it all has to go up in one movement. And then you have to have a partner help you hold this while you get the screw and very tiny Allen wrench twisted up there. I ended up using my universal, it's right here. Universal socket, and actually putting the socket wrench into this just so I could twist it stronger, because my little fingers just could not twist it. It felt stuck for a second, and that managed to give it just enough power to finally get that screw to suck in there and tighten all the way. To be honest, this 3D printed mount could be better. It doesn't feel 100% like flush with the existing hole. Could be a little better, but it's fine. It works. This is about as solid as it's going to get. I've managed to hide every wire now, except right above the front passenger. There's this couple inches of cable that's coming out. I do need to probably pull this out again and just tuck some minor tucking to get this. I don't know if it looked like that before. Probably not. But just tuck this back in. What they really should have shown in the video, the install video, was where all these cables went. So I came out over here. I used one of these plastic squeegees that I had on hand from other installs like these, squeegeeing out the soap. This thing came real in handy. Just helped to push that cable, tuck it in, all in this trim above the rear passenger door. Easy, whoosh, slid in. Go behind this rubber, up behind that rubber, and finally this little rubber. And I used the little orange tool, the pry bar, and just pushed it down. Then it sneaks around right here in between the stainless steel and the body of the truck, goes right down this little gap all the way around the bottom, up the fender. Take off your fenders, don't be lazy. I tried to just very lightly peel it off. Waste of time, just take the damn thing off. Much easier. It pops on and off. There's no cameras in the rear fender, so no risk of screwing up any electrical, anything behind there. And then it ran down. Initially, I went out and hit it with my mud flap, and then I went down and around. Let me zoom out. Down and around, I actually ran the cable from here to there. I put a hole in the plastic, and then I discovered I could hide everything behind this mud flap wheel well area. So if you don't have mud flaps, that's totally fine. You can kind of see the cable right there in the middle. That's the cable coming out of the fender. So you just need to take off these little push pins. Not push, you know, oh, again, I'm tired. I'm sorry. Leave me a like. I'm tired. So it goes behind here. You can basically just peel this plastic back off the wheel well, and they will reveal the tow hitch. Take your tow hitch off so you can see the sunlight coming through. But it reveals the tow hitch. Just get your cable, bound it up, chuck it in there. And then from the tow hitch, you can just reach in there and grab the cable, pull her through. I did drill a hole for the camera because I didn't want the plastic to be interfered with. So there's a little hole, but it's right on the bottom, it's fine. And there's the camera perfectly centered. So this is a pretty much invisible install except for a couple inches in the front passenger side. Very happy with how it turned out. Let me jump in the front seat, driver's side, and I'll show you a bit of what I am aware of on how this camera works. After editing, I decided to just re-record this video. So here's a quick comparison of the digital rearview mirror versus Tesla's. This is what you'd see most of the time while driving, rearview mirror. And you can see more on this digital one. It is wider view. So you get this white vehicle on the right. You can see full, 2 cars fully on this right-hand side. In Tesla's preview, you can't even see that white vehicle, and the second vehicle over here on the right is completely cut off. So big advantage is you do have a wider field of view. And of course, I do like you can pan up and down just a wee bit. I have not found a way, if there is a way, to zoom out, but you can swipe through the various front and rear cameras, and there's also this split screen view. But yeah, it's also adjustable. You can twist it that much. Let me zoom out. So if you're in the driver's seat, you can point it basically at you. It doesn't move that far. Oh, it does. So it can move that far towards the passenger side. So it's on this swivel ball. For whatever reason, it needs to point down, but I feel like comfortably you would probably leave it flat, or even better for visibility is just point it directly at you, the driver. So I'm probably going to leave mine right about there. This does have this power button to turn it off, which turns it into just a standard mirror. So if you do have the tonneau cover down, in fact, let me put me into park here, open the tonneau. There it is. So you can just use this like a standard mirror with the tonneau down. If you want to see, I don't know, your cargo that's in the vault, but or maybe you want to see your kid in the back seat. I don't have any kids, but you can see in the back seat. And then when you want it to be digital, you just push that button. So best of both worlds. Still is a mirror, but whenever you'd like, you can turn it on. As for the power, so you can turn it on and off, but if you are in Sentry mode, this will remain on, I've noticed. It seems as long as Sentry mode is on, this thing has power and also remains on. If you turn off Sentry mode while you're parked, this does not have power and it is not on. There is a setting. Let's go through the settings. So you can record. If you do have an SD card, I do not have one and none is included. So you'll have to buy your own if you want to record as a dash cam for some weird reason. I feel like Sentry mode is more than adequate. But you can record up to 3-minute loop. You can automatically switch to the rear view every 30 seconds, minute, or 5 minutes. A little weird. You can record audio to that SD card. I really like this. This is probably one reason I would get the SD card, is you can record time lapses in increments of 4, 8, 12, or 24 hours. You can show the clock screen. I might actually turn that on. Beep sounds. Sure, let's try the beep sounds. Volume, let's do middle. Auto screen off. So this I'm debating if I want to use. You can have the screen turn itself off after 1 or 3 minutes. Then it goes back to just being a normal mirror. That would mean that when you park and you're in Sentry mode, this thing's going to turn off, 1 or 3 minutes later. But whenever you would need to use it, you would just tap the screen and then that would wake it back up and turn on the digital mirror. Gravity sensing, I assume, is for crash detection. Front camera, you can disable if for whatever reason. You can set the date and time format, factory reset, format the card. Firmware update or firmware version, you can update the firmware, but you need a memory card as well. In fact, I should probably look to see if it has an update. Maybe that would add zooming out mode. Not sure. We'll have to check that later. But yeah, that's pretty much all the settings. The rest is DVR, or basically recording settings that don't apply to me since I do not have a memory card. But there's the time. Let's go back to this. And I'm curious if the time stays on now that I checked that box, and it does. So you can see right there what the time is. Overall, very impressed with the quality. It's very clear. Even the front cam is fine. I actually forgot to remove the film until this morning when I realized I still had the film on the back of the camera. But yeah, no concerns on the camera quality. Not sure why I'd want a front-facing camera though for at least the Cybertruck. Yeah, I'll be using this for the rest of this Cybertruck's life. This is fantastic to have and definitely recommend buying. Again, if you do, be sure to use RedNave20 to save 20% off though, don't forget. But yeah, let's go back into the video. For anyone who's interested on how I installed this and what you're up against, stick around because I've got nearly an hour of footage for you to watch. Enjoy. Here's some of the video quality in the evening. I can't even see the license plate in the Tesla unless I pull up the big one. That's what that looks like. I can pan up and down. Looks pretty good to me. Re-recording this audio since it got a bit too loud, but here's some nighttime footage showing what it looks like. A lot of the headlights are blown out, but the Tesla camera also experiences that same issue. It has a wide field of view. Things are clear, but the biggest advantage for this digital rear view mirror is the ability to see who is behind you while you are turning or merging, since Tesla currently does not allow you to see both of those views at once. So that alone is the biggest reason why you should probably get this mirror, and the Cybertruck should have came this way from day one, let's be honest. All right, here we are. Let's start by removing this existing useless mirror. I've been thinking about removing this thing for a while, so it's about time. Yeah, I'm gonna start with this Allen wrench, and I need a pry tool. So let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, first we need to pop off this tiny little door. I'm gonna try and use this pry tool they gave me, and it should just be able to pop this out and down. This pry tool might be a little big, but nope, that will work. That pops out. And I think it just keeps going. There we go. So this just pops off on a hinge. Keep that for later. You might want to hold on to everything you remove. Next step, I need to unscrew using this T20. The screw or something. All right, there we go. All right, you can stop here if all you wanted to do was remove your existing mirror. Tesla, in fact, gives you this tiny little door hinge to close this hole, which was super cool of them. All right, I need to reposition the camera because we got to pull this thing down. All right, I've kept up on the installation video, following along. The next step is to remove, or at least move them out of the way, move these sun visors, and then he said to pinch about right here, and this should pop off. There are clips back here. There we go. And he said let this hang. And then there is a lip back here. Pull from here. Should unclip. This is easy. All right. So far, so good. He said let that hang. And that I'm going to need to reposition the camera again. So hang on. It's tricky to film, so I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Sorry for the shaky cam if that happens. So we're interested in this white one here. We're going to use the tie-in with that. So first remove this white cable. Oh my god. All right, I need my other hand. Hang on. All right, not gonna lie, that was a little more difficult than I thought, but only because I didn't understand how this works. So you do need one thing they don't include in the kit, and that's a very tiny little poking tool to poke inside this little plastic hole, and that will depress what's needed to release this clip. There's this little nub of plastic sits in there. If you push it, this will pop right out. Otherwise, you're going to waste your time trying to pull this out until you get a prying tool to stick it in that little hole and release it. So yes, you do need one extra thing. I'm using my little Hoto multi-purpose, doing this one-handed again. It's got all sorts of tiny little attachments. Love this thing, very handy. But yeah, you need something small, flat, poke in there. This happened to fit perfectly. Now we can connect this and like for like. All right, this play the match game. That one snaps into place. This one goes in the other one. Snaps in, perfect. Now we have our power connected to the Cybertruck, and this is going to power the cameras, I believe. So, yeah, I need to watch the next step. I have forgotten what to do. So see you in a second. All right, the next step is we need to attach this 3D printed mounting bracket to the mirror itself. But I discovered you do need more additional tools. So another thing they probably should have included. I'm using my Hoto. I wish they'd sponsor me, I swear. Hoto, sponsor me. Hoto multi drill, it's great. Anyways, this mounting bracket faces down like that. We're using the same screw. Screw it back together. That's on there nice and good. Now we need to route these cables into the mirror so that we can power the mirror itself. All right, we're gonna route these cables and they need to go through these holes. So push them through. Don't want to have too much pressure on this while it's dangling in the air. Being sure to support the weight of the mirror. Everything's lined up. I think I now connect the power to the mirror itself. And that's going to be tricky by myself. I'm going to rest the mirror behind my display and line up these cables. I think that's lined up. We'll check. Yep. Cool. Here. Is now powering on. Please set time. Oh, I will figure that out later. What needs to happen now? I think I put this all back together. Okay, I do need to run these cables out that side, and then I mount the mirror. So let's play white ground. Oh, I forgot. I loosened this. I did pull this white cable out that we tied into. I need to snap that back in. It's got a little mounting area. When you open yours, you'll see it. Just slides in, pinches it into place. There we go. That'll keep that from moving. Don't worry, you're not missing much here. I actually ended up redoing all of this wiring. So the little closing door is built into this plastic, and the mount has a little hole for that to poke through. Got it. All right, everybody in, come on. They did mention, whoops, to possibly have a helper for this part, and I see why. All right, I now understand why they did not film a portion of this install, because I also did not film it. I needed a helper. But yeah, I misquoted. Don't use the silver screw. I needed to reuse the screw that came from my existing mirror. So hopefully you still have your existing mirror if you've taken it off already. but I needed to move this little piece of plastic out of the way so the screw could come out. There was no risk of it falling out when I initially removed it. Maybe what they were trying to say is take that screw out because you're going to need it later. I'm uncertain what the other silver screw is for, at least so far in this install. But yeah, putting that up was a bit of a bitch. Be sure to have a helper to hold things and make sure they align, because once you push this thing on, all these wires can no longer move. It's all just cinched perfectly into place. So yeah, have a helper. Next step, I need to look up which one of these. Oh, F camera, that's the front. R camera, that's the back. Thank you. This camera, I'm assuming, is the front since it has adhesive. The other camera has a mounting bracket, and it came with some screws. So this would make more sense to be outside. It looks a little bit more durable as well, and it has a little shield from the weather. So first off, set up the front camera. Why not? I doubt I'm going to need or use this, but might as well stick it on while I'm up here. So let me position the camera and we'll set that up. All right, considering I've been manhandling my front windshield, I'm gonna wipe off any oils from my fingers that I may have put on the windshield, and then peel off the adhesive. It seemed like there might be enough room for this cable to run inside, but they do recommend it gets routed on the passenger side along the trim. So there's that. I'm going to mount it. I feel like as far as removing this later, plastic's a better option. All right, I'm doing the plastic. Hopefully that's where it's supposed to go. And the Cybertruck just turned off because I'm not on the seat. That's okay. All right. Applying a decent amount of pressure. Really get that to stick. Hopefully you can see that. Routing this up this edge here. I might try and slip it in there at one point, but I gotta get going. Yellow for the front. So this camera is working. Let's rotate it down. Right about there should be good. Obviously, again, I'll take this off last step once I'm done messing around up here with the cabling. But cool, that's connected. All right, I need to see what the next step is. I'm assuming I need to connect the extension cable for the rear. And then I think I routed along the trim inside here. So yeah, let me watch the video again and see where all this wiring is supposed to go. All right, just checking in. I routed it underneath this headlining down, and I'm currently on top of this connection point. This does pull down for the door. So now I'm going to, move this stuff around to get this neatly packed in there so I can't see this wire. And then I guess I can sneak my way through this rubber trim along the door. So I'll check back in just a sec. All right, checking in. So I don't think I can actually get beneath this part of the front passenger trim. I looked in the manual, it mentions something about this. It's not exactly clear. It doesn't explicitly say, but looking in there, it feels like these need to overlap each other and this wire can't tuck in there, but I figure I can try that again later once there's more light. Believe it or not, this whole side is done. This is easier than I thought. So this wire, I ran it up through this rubber. You can kind of see it peeking out here. And it can get behind there, even behind the pillar. I've run it underneath this rubber. Again, you can kind of see it peeking out. Let me adjust my light. There we go. Running it beneath this. all I've been doing is using this. Let me zoom out actually. Using this, and I just run it along, and that cable just zoop, fit right perfectly in there. Again, beneath this little rubber piece, and then I pushed it up behind this rubber, and now we're at this point. So now I need to run this as neatly as I can into this gap of the door, down, and then I'll figure out this fender. I decided to delete the remaining footage for that night since I installed it underneath the bumper, and it wasn't until later that I discovered I could go through the wheel well. So just do it that way. Also, here's a quick picture demonstrating the width difference of the old versus the new digital rear view mirror. Pretty neat. Alrighty, it is the next day. I ran out of sunlight, so I had to slap everything back together as quick as I could so I could leave for a party. But today I'm going to be doing some kind of finish work, tucking some wires a little bit better. This was a real pain in the ass, especially once I ran out of sunlight because I could not see what I was doing. So I need to pull all this back down and figure out a better way to tuck this front camera wire. They suggest you tuck it around the side here, and it was just very difficult to tuck the excess cable underneath this thing since the clips, I wonder if I can take it out. These clips are these white parts, and when you try and tuck the wires in there, they interfere with these clips from snapping into these two locations right here. So that was a struggle. So I ended up stuffing the wires back through that hole, and they're in there somewhere. But I kind of don't like that since I can't see how neat and tidy it is in there. I did notice it looked like there was some sort of heat sink potentially built into this plastic. So I got to take that down. I want to do a little bit better job and take my time getting that nicely, neatly tucked away. I'm pretty satisfied with how the tuck job did for this headliner, going all the way around, and then it goes over this portion. I'm going to try one more time to get this to sit hidden underneath this headliner, but not sure if that's possible. That went out and around. This pulls down so you can actually see into the Cybertruck through this trim. I went up. You can barely see it. It would focus, poking out. So the wire sneaks behind this rubber, behind that trim. You can barely see the cable hiding under there. Again, I might be able to push some things in deeper, pull some things out to help cover it. Sneaks underneath that trim. Let me open the door here. So sneaks underneath there. That was super easy. It just fell into place. One more time behind this rubber. Up and above, you can barely see it right there, poking out. So I want to tuck that in a little bit better if I can. Pushed it behind the metal. It did make this metal flex out just a little bit, but that's okay because it's gonna be fine. It's literally just pushed deep as I could into that metal, went all the way down, wrapped it around. Take your fenders off. I tried to do this without taking them off by just prying this open just a little bit. Way easier to just figure out and watch a video on how to peel these off. It's basically some more pins. So you just pry and pry carefully if you have a wrap, and that will pop off. So I tucked it behind there. Again, avoiding the securing pins behind this fender all the way down here. And this is where I had to decide where to go, because some of you have the option if you'd like, to move along this edge and mount your camera, I don't know, on the side of your license plate. But I wanted mine to be centered, so I needed to go lower. So instead of going that way, I decided to use this third-party. I'm gonna get a new one of these, so I'm not too worried. I tried to trim this one at one point, screwed it up. Anyways, I'm gonna use the third-party mud flap to my advantage. I ran it down. There is, oh, I'm gonna have to sit on the floor. There is these three, let me zoom out. All right, there are these three screws underneath the back here. I actually unscrewed this, all three of them, tucked the wire behind there, and basically used the screw to my advantage. So it's sort of hooked behind that screw so it can't fall out. You kind of see a little bit peeking out. Again, I'm going to do a little bit better tuck job for these wires. And this is the one part I'm the least satisfied with, is how to tuck this a bit better, because right now it's just going straight across. I wouldn't mind it if this stayed flush, it'd be practically invisible. But right now it's just kind of dangling and hanging, and I don't really like that. So I'm gonna try and pry something here, or see if I can tuck this to sit inside of there. But yeah, that's my number one priority after sorting through the cables in the front. And then all of it sits, the excess sits inside of this hollow tow hitch cover. I did end up trying to stick this camera on. It stuck at first, but then I pushed a bit too hard and it fell off. The adhesive didn't seem to want to stick anymore. I did kind of ceramic coat this a week ago, so I'm wondering if maybe it's just too non-stick. But I ended up actually taking these two screws off on the sides and then putting the two screws provided to screw into the plastic of this trim, or this tow hitch cover, since again it's just a hollow tow hitch cover. I know there's nothing in there to hit, and this is just a replaceable piece if I decided for some reason I didn't like having two small holes on the very bottom where nobody looks. But that did a good job. This camera does tilt just a couple degrees, but when you are looking through the camera in the rear view mirror, you can swipe up and down to pan, because this thing sees a lot more than you'd think. But all you have is up and down. You cannot swivel side to side, so make sure when you're installing this that it is pointed precisely where you'd like it to go, because after that all you can do is point up and down a few degrees at most. So yeah, I've got a little bit of work ahead of me still. Yesterday took me, I think, almost 3 hours to install. Keep in mind that I am filming this whole process as I go, and all the mistakes I've made are going to save you the time, so you're welcome. But I would say think of this like a huge Lego project, in that it's not like it's difficult. The instructions are easy. It's just there's a lot of instructions, a lot of pieces, and they all have to fall into the same place that are needed in order for the project to be finished. So last night I was a little frustrated just because I was running out of light. But this morning, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's just a little tedious. You do need some, get a helper. It was much easier once I got a helper to help me, especially with putting all this stuff back up here. I'm gonna have to grab him again later today, but it can be done, and if you have a helper, it can be done even easier and even faster. So don't feel intimidated by this install. It's all removable, just adhesive. All this could be reverted back to factory if needed, if you change your mind. But I think it's worth it so far. So yeah, let me do a little bit of these wire cleanup work and we'll get a finished look, and then I'll show you the UI of the mirror. I've been kind of playing with it and figuring it out on accident, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So see you in a sec, and hopefully everything packed away nice and tidy the way I anticipated. All right, here is a quick video of my rewiring job. Decided to go out the front for the front-facing camera since I feel like there's enough of a gap that this can still do that. I'll find out in a sec. Zip-tied as many things as I could to get them to lay on the sides in the voids and avoid whatever is this silver. Again, I think it might be some sort of heat sink. I'm not sure what purpose that serves, but it looks important for that. So I'm trying to avoid, insulating this on accident and keeping the heat in there. So putting everything on the sides, zip tying as I go, and then the next tricky step, which is where I will need my helper maybe, is pushing all this up, clamping it through the securing pins in place, and then carefully screwing the I never did find out what that extra screw was for. Well, using the original screw from the original rear view mirror, but I don't know what that, I don't even know where I put it. There's another screw that the kit came with, but I have no clue what it's for. But yeah, I need to put all this back together, and yeah, this is the final look of my wiring job, and I think this will still tuck since it's just one cable instead of like 2 or 3. So here we go. I wish I would have found this much earlier. Drop me a like, please. Drop me a subscribe. I did all this so you didn't have to figure this out yourself. All right, this can be completely hidden, 100%, except for that one little pillar. Every wire can be hidden. So I came out of the fender, went down, and yeah, that goes straight back to the tow hitch. All I'll have to do is pop this back into place, and then didn't even need any tool or anything to fish this through. Just reached in there, pulled it out, zip tie, and now I can feed it power. And since I drilled a hole there, this is going to be 100%, well, 99% hidden install. So this is great. No cable under the bottom anymore. So yeah, let me finish touching up this wheel well, and then I think I am finished, finally.